The renowned psychologist William Damon has observed a pervasive and growing sentiment among young people today: the feeling of drifting. What is this feeling? Simply put, it's a state of aimlessness, a lack of direction, motivation, and meaning in life. It's like an invisible shackle imprisoning the young soul. Many reach the age for university, graduate, and then busy themselves with making a living, achieving a certain salary or position, buying cars, paying off mortgages, and so on. Externally, everything seems to be on track, but internally, they feel their lives are dull, repetitive, and devoid of real value or meaning. In the United States, up to 45% of university students suffer from severe symptoms of depression. Psychologists have even coined a new term: emerging adulthood, referring to how many individuals, after passing their youth, fail to smoothly transition into stable adulthood, instead falling into a state of ambiguity between youth and maturity. The author of today's book, which I've translated as The Path to Purpose: How Young People Find Their Inner Calling, is Stanford University education science Professor William Damon, one of the most brilliant scholars studying human development globally. He is celebrated as one of the 50 most influential psychologists in the world. He points out that today's youth often lack motivation in life due to an unclear understanding of their purpose. So, how must one build a purpose to avoid this feeling of drifting, to no longer float ambiguously between youth and adulthood? We will explore this through today's insightful book, The Path to Purpose. What kind of goal setter are you? Do you realize that many young people around us are living in a state of frustration or lack motivation every day? This lack of drive is because they possess abundant youthful energy but haven't found a channel to unleash it. During adolescence, the human brain is in a period of intense development, and physical strength reaches its peak. If, at this stage, young people don't have a grand and stable purpose to strive for, they easily fall into a state of emptiness and restlessness. Based on his research, the author categorizes young people into 4 main groups. The first group is called the aimless ***. These individuals always prioritize a comfortable and pleasant life. During interviews, members of this group rarely mention any clear life goals. The only thing they want is to figure out how to live more happily. Therefore, their minds are mostly occupied by novel pleasures, entertainment, and relationships. Approximately 25% of young people belong to this group, living comfortably and indulging in immediate gratification. Is there anything wrong with this? In truth, this state may feel pleasant initially, but it often leads to suffering later on. For instance, if dining out or checking into trendy places becomes a goal, it will soon feel monotonous as these experiences become repetitive, lacking deeper meaning. Some young people spend hours binge-watching shows or playing games for instant entertainment, only to later feel that time was wasted and brought no lasting value. The second group is the dreamers ***. Their characteristic is having many illusions but lacking action. They often share grand ideas and plans but never truly put in the effort. Many dream of becoming stars or famous individuals, earning widespread recognition, but they never set realistic goals. This group also accounts for about 25%. The third group is the superficial achievers ***. In contrast, these individuals have many goals and are determined to achieve them by any means. However, their goals often stem from ego, arrogance, or a desire for status. They heavily prioritize external validation and prestige, such as earning degrees to prove themselves or constantly striving for career advancement to satisfy and affirm their position. Yet, once they achieve their goals and work for a while, they often lose their initial interest and question the meaning of what they are doing. Motivation based on pride and status is frequently unsustainable. This group makes up about 30% of young people. Finally, the fourth group is the purposeful ***. These individuals, comprising about 20% of young people, can find their purpose, concentrate their efforts, and see the meaning behind each goal. There's also a very small group that the author doesn't list among the 4 main categories. These are called the maliciously purposeful ***, as they have very clear goals, but these are driven by revenge and rebellion against society. In summary, 80% of young people today are living with a sense of aimlessness. Most fall into two states, either having no purpose or having too many purposes that are misguided. Which group do you belong to, and what constitutes a truly guided purpose? What defines a truly guided purpose? Most people, when setting goals, merely answer questions like, what do I need to achieve? Or, who do I want to become? These questions revolve around personal material desires. Meanwhile, the human brain often prioritizes specific numbers or measurable actions. For example, to master a foreign language, many set a goal to memorize a certain number of words. To land a dream job, they seek specific certifications or degrees. Or they expect to have 500 million VND by age 25, or an apartment and an admirable job by age 30, and so on. When a purpose is quantified and driven by specific metrics, it often creates the feeling that you are working effectively, moving in the right direction towards a prosperous, excellent life. However, the truth is that merely adhering to metrics does not mean we are truly living with a guided purpose. Remember, a purpose is not merely a metric. A truly guided purpose must be grand and stable. The author states that a life's purpose is an ultimate concern. It is the final answer to the question, why? Why am I doing this? Why is it relevant to me? Why is it important to me? A truly guided purpose is the deep-seated origin behind your short-term goals and the driving force behind most of your daily actions. If you want to live a life of passion, resilience, and boundless energy, you cannot be content with merely finding material and short-term objectives. For example, many say, my goal is to buy a house. This might seem like a long-term goal, but in reality, it's just a short-term material objective. It might motivate you for a while, perhaps 5 or even 10 years of effort, but after that, you might ask yourself, is this house truly important? Or, once achieved, you might realize the house doesn't bring you the happiness you initially expected. As the book Finite and Infinite Games states, if a person only lives with the aim of achieving a certain outcome, accomplishment, or fame, they will forever live in a perpetual cycle, confined to a life script of endless, consecutive goals, accompanied by disappointment and suffering when they fail, or emptiness when they succeed. Have you ever swum? How do you swim without sinking? Some might say, tread water, kick hard in place. But treading water in place doesn't guarantee you won't sink. Peter Gray, the world's most renowned child psychologist, says that swimming forward is what keeps you from sinking. Swimming forward is, in fact, a form of balance. When you find a direction where you can continuously strive forward naturally, life can actually become much easier to balance. Many of us have overlooked this, always feeling that balance comes from trying to tread water in place. After achieving a certain material goal, they desperately cling to the result, hoping life will stay fixed in the present with no unforeseen events. At that point, you'll find yourself drifting, frustrated, and unable to move forward. Therefore, the author points out that a stable purpose must stem from an inner calling. This is the correct direction for life. Before setting a goal, you must have the right direction. It is incredibly important, more crucial than any specific metric or action. Without the right direction, the goals you set will only lead to a lifetime of struggle and emptiness with short-term material objectives, ultimately leaving you with nothing but a feeling of drifting. A purpose that originates from your inner calling is one where you see your actions as meaningful to yourself and also to the world around you. This is about unifying your personal vision with societal goals. The great psychologist Alfred Adler, in his book, What Life Should Mean to You, stated that you must unify your goals with the goals of society. This is a noble purpose, and this purpose alone truly holds value and meaning for your life. Nobility here doesn't mean you need to do something grand for humanity. It can entirely be an ordinary job. For example, the author once visited a restaurant in a small town. He realized the food wasn't particularly outstanding, but the restaurant had a unique characteristic. It hired only young people from the town as servers. Some initially wayward youths, after a period of training, began to care for others and became upright citizens. People curiously asked the owner about this. The owner said, "Our mission is for customers to arrive hungry and leave filled with joy." In other words, the service this restaurant provides is not aimed at maximizing profit, earning tips, or optimizing investment, but at bringing joy and solving problems for customers. If any work you do can bring help and make a difference to others, then you are aligned with your inner calling. you have found a truly noble purpose and meaning. We need to note that a grand purpose that follows your inner calling must satisfy three conditions: competence, meaning, and joy. These three combined constitute your inner calling. First, let's talk about competence. You need a realistic awareness of your own abilities, that is, you need to assess whether you are capable of performing well. Second is meaning. You need to consider what problems your abilities can solve for others. The third is joy. You need to consider whether you can feel joy when using your personal abilities in this way. These three principles can be applied to any profession. Try drawing 3 overlapping circles representing these 3 elements. The intersection will be where you find a sense of mission, a clear and fulfilling direction in your work and life. When a personal purpose can be connected to a societal purpose, it brings you 3 important things: power, continuity, and a state of flow. At this point, your inner calling becomes a natural motivation within you, compelling you to perform daily tasks voluntarily, joyfully, and with focus. The author offers a series of advice on the path to finding your true purpose, including the following steps. 1. Engage in enlightening conversations with people who are not your relatives, family, or close friends. 2. Observe how purposeful individuals operate. 3. Move towards the first moment of insight. Ask, what important issues in the world need improvement or fixing? 4. Then, experience the second moment of insight. What can I contribute to change the situation? This moment will help you recognize your own power. 5. Identify your purpose and begin to take some steps. The book shares a very touching story. A 6-year-old boy, after visiting Africa, set a goal to raise money to drill wells in Africa. He began a variety of activities. First, he earned his own pocket money, then he appealed to people for donations and launched a long-term campaign called Ryan's Well Foundation. By the time Ryan entered his teens, he had raised enough to build hundreds of wells in Africa. If a person, from a young age, finds a purpose that serves society and is willing to strive for it, they can truly create miracles. 6. Seek support from family. 7. Intensify efforts creatively and generate impact to pursue your purpose. 8. Acquire the necessary skills to pursue your purpose. 9. Enhance execution capability. 10. Become optimistic and confident. 11. Make a long-term commitment to your purpose. 12. Apply the skills and character traits cultivated in pursuit of your purpose to other areas of life. This is the process by which a person starts from an inner calling, finds a grand and stable purpose, and then, in a state of balance, naturally walks with joy and brings value to themselves. A sustainable purpose also requires a sustainable mindset. The journey towards purpose doesn't actually demand you struggle and strain, but if you don't maintain a pure heart, it will forever remain out of reach. A crucial mindset to cultivate when building purpose is to overcome the culture of instant gratification. The culture of instant gratification in society today is incredibly powerful and indeed frightening. Everyone is asking, how much do I need to achieve financial freedom? From generation to generation, people have valued different material pursuits. Today, among young people, the top value is achieving financial freedom. Of course, there's nothing wrong with anyone pursuing financial freedom, but if society as a whole places achieving financial freedom above all else, that becomes a problem. If our values merely revolve around becoming richer, more prominent, or more successful, then what society propagates will be a worship of utility. When these words are accepted by everyone and seen as self-evident, more and more people will be willing to chase after them, and they will also guide their children towards these short-term material goals. What are the consequences if the worship of utility only serves to satisfy people's desire for instant gratification? The author summarizes 3 outcomes: a conflicted psychology, a sense of alienation, and disgust with the world. If parents force their children to study hard, supervise them closely, scold them for low grades, send them to extra classes, and then teach them how to observe and ingratiate themselves with adults when guests are over or when visiting someone else's home, just to be liked and praised by others, all these things will create a conflicted psychology in the child. They will perform these actions but feel uncomfortable and distressed, realizing that the more they do, the less meaningful it feels. Ultimately, only boredom and a dislike for many aspects of life remain. Parents should be guides, not drivers. Yet, many parents insist on driving their children's lives, making their children mere passengers. It is clearly the child's life, but they sit beside them, without a voice, only able to follow wherever the parents wish to take them. The influence of parents on children is profound, continuous, and lifelong. Therefore, if you are a parent, you should learn to let go of your ego, because your desired attitude is not important. If you impose it on your child, you are only pushing them further away from their inner calling for a truly meaningful life purpose. What parents can do is understand their children, stimulate their curiosity so they can express themselves more, and finally, ignite their intrinsic interest. According to the author, this means listening intently, searching for the spark that ignites within them. And if you yourself are experiencing internal conflicts, feeling compelled to do things to achieve values that the majority upholds, then stop. Listen to your inner voice and find your own flame. Overall, this book not only addresses the issues of teenagers, but also helps us confront ourselves. When reading the book, we reflect on what we can do to support our children. On the other hand, we can also ask ourselves whether we can start shaping our life's purpose from today. No matter your age, today is still the youngest day of your life. The advice in this book is not just for young people, but for all of us. Each person, at this very moment, has the opportunity to write a new chapter in their own life.